It's Dale here again. Today I thought I would show you something that I made many years ago. When I did City and Guilds, we had to make part of one of the modules was making cloths. So I made a number of personalised individual cloths, and this one was actually a bodice top. That's how it ended up. And I had this idea. I did a tiny little sample that took me about half an hour, and I thought, oh, that's good. I can make this whole thing up into one large piece. And it doesn't work like that, of course. But I've had it on display. It's been sort of our signature piece. It's on the website as the profile, I think, and business cards and things like that. And it's a unique piece, really. It's created by me. I haven't seen anybody. I hadn't seen anybody do anything like this before or after. But what I used, first of all, was, and I've been at shows and had it on display and heard many people surmising how I did it and telling their friends exactly how I did it, and which has always amused me. I don't usually tell people what I did, but it doesn't really matter now. Anyway, I use rayon thread, and I was saying before when I talked about rayon threads that they don't burn. And so if you look at what I've got here, I used many of the Steph Francis. You can see the colours. I haven't got any bright yellows here, but I scoured at that time, bought a lot of Steph's rayon threads. That's a 4-strand, but I used all sorts of other ones. And I would have used these actually. These are the painter's ribbon rayon, but painters weren't around then, and I didn't know the painters people, but they would be lovely as well. And what I did was I bought at a great expense a large piece, a metre or more, of a beautiful polyester, rainbow coloured, totally irrelevant when you think about it now. And I hand stitched all over it with different square shapes or squares or rectangles. And the stitch I used, because I know people have pretended they know, is fly stitch, and I work fly stitch around all the shapes and things. So it's just a very bright, colourful piece. And when I finished, I used my heat gun and I burn holes through to the other side, so that it's got holes in, but it's a very solid piece of cloth. And actually, it is a beautiful piece of cloth and could be used in many ideas. I'm sorry, I haven't followed it up with anything else since then. I think I was probably exhausted by the end, but I do remember that my tutor, Julia Capara, was rather impressed with it, and she kept linking it with a skirt that I made as well, which, to my way of thinking, didn't match at all, but every time I took it off the stand, she popped them back together again. And one of the things I did when I also then, I should have said, before I burnt it out, I then machine stitched around all those shapes just to hold it together, to give it some body, and for no particular reason, because I think it holds itself without being machined. And I'll just show you that when I did it, I left a bit of fabric on the back, but it doesn't matter when it's inside, so I just cut around it and thought, oh dear, but there's no point in unpicking. And when you turn it over here, you can probably see more of the machine stitching that I did to keep it all in place. So that's just my beautiful piece, and I've had it for a long time. I've carted it around. It's been handled by many people. It's still a very scrumptious, solid piece of fabric, and would, again, as a top, I don't mean on me, I mean on somebody with a nice figure. It just makes a lovely bodice of some sort, and could be linked, or actually it would make a wonderful bag, or even if you're doing something small like a cuff, or an extra scarf, or basically anything. It's a very simple piece of fabric. It's all it needs is your imagination and a lot of time and a big needle to stitch all these threads up. So there you are. I hope you've enjoyed seeing that, and I'll see you all again another time. Bye.